So in the previous video, we ended up here. So what we're gonna do in this video right now, we're gonna work on our appointments tab so that we can be able to do this. So if we click on this appointments tab, we can complete it. Let's just say yes. So now we don't have any appointments scheduled, right? So we're gonna change this to pending appointments. Then now we're gonna work on consultation. So let me just click consultation. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do in the consultation window. So here we're just gonna be recording all the information that's taken in by the doctor or the nurse or whoever takes in information in the hospital, right? Then we're gonna save it inside our database, right? So on the right here we can see our appointments, right? So since we completed all the appointments that we had pending, so we're not gonna see any appointments in this tab. And on the left side, we have these consultations here. These are text inputs. We're going to be using these to fill out any information. Then the save button at the bottom here, let me click it. So now we don't have any information saved here. So we have fill in all fields required error down here, right? And we can select any consultation type, press the enter checkup. Here we can select the patients that we have in our database. So I'm just gonna select John Doe. And then we're just gonna fill out this other information. Another thing that our system does is let's press here and let me open this folder and select this image here, right? So we're just gonna be using OpenCV to detect fractures. So looking at the screen, right, we have an image displayed. So this is an X-ray image, and our system just detected this fracture here. All right, so let's just close this. So that's basically what we're gonna be doing. And this clear button, right, if we just press it, so remember we selected John Doe as the patient that we're gonna be consulting, right? And the consultation type we selected dental checkup. So if we just press clear, this is set to the default, the select consultation type, then select patient type, and our error has been cleared. So we're just gonna work on this in this video. After we're done with that, then we're gonna do appointments and patients. And if still have much time, we're gonna do rooms and stuff. Right. So let's get to it. Okay, so now let's start working on our consultation screen, right? So if you look in the video description, you're gonna see a link to the folders, the template folders, and the folder that we did when we created the first episode, right? So what I did in the second, you're gonna see a second template, a second status template. So what I did in there is inside create reply, I added a consultations table there. So we're gonna be using this table to store whatever information we record when a doctor or someone consults a doctor, a patient consults a doctor, right? So we're going to be storing it inside this consultations table. So if you look at our table, our database, so I'm just gonna open XAMPP. As you can see in here, we don't have consultations, right? So let me just refresh it. So we don't have consultations here. We don't have a table named consultation. So if you navigate back to PyCharm, I'm using PyCharm. So if you're using any other text editor, it's still fine. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm just going to run this. So this here, this should be hospital. Okay, like this. So let's try running it. So let me select current file here. So let me run this. Okay, here it says done. So let me just navigate back to XAMPP and refresh. Okay, so now we have consultations here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna close my browser because I'm not gonna need XAMPP for now. Okay, let me get rid of create.py. So let's open assets folder. So in the new starter template for the second episode, right, you're gonna see this consultation image, right? So we're gonna be using this as a guide to create our user interface for the consultation screen, all right? And we need to navigate to views folder. So inside here, we need to create our consultation screen. So to do that, let's open our terminal. All right, so let me just get rid of this and open it again. Okay. So inside here, I'm gonna say cd views. So I'm gonna navigate to our views folder from our terminal. Then inside here, I'm gonna call this file, this create screen.py file. So what I'm gonna do with my terminal, I'm gonna say Python space create underscore screen.py, and we're gonna call our screen consultations. Okay. So as you can see inside our views folder, we should have a consultation screen in there. Okay, here it is. Before we go any further, we're gonna use OpenCV to detect fractures, right? So here we need to say pip install OpenCV -python like this, right? Okay, so while this installs, we need to navigate to our consultations folder inside our outside our views folder, then open consultations.py, right? So what we need to do, right? I'm just gonna paste something here, right? Okay. So what this is different types of consultations, right? So since we're making yeah, hospital management system for a small hospital, right? We just added a few consultation types so that let's say you want to use the system to focus on maybe um a dentist's office or an optician's office or something like that, right? So you're just gonna have all these options here. But then if you are going to edit this system and make it your own, right, you can get rid of certain things that you don't want in the system, right? Then you just make sure the system focuses on a certain something. So this is all up to you. So I'm just gonna put these different types in here. Okay, so we're gonna need this later because if you look at our image, right? This here, we says type, select consultation type. So we're just gonna click this drop down, then you get a different list of options that we're gonna use to select our consultation type, right? Okay. So let's proceed. And before we go any further, we need to navigate to our app folder, then open init.py. So we need to import our consultation screen. So I'm just gonna copy this one, then change. So dashboard is going to be consultations like this, and you need to change this one also. Okay, then okay, let's navigate to home screen, home folder, then home.kv, right? So okay, here we have consultation. So let's get rid of this button here. Then we need to change this to consultations like this, right? Excuse me. So I'm gonna try run this, right? Then see if everything is working just fine. Okay, so in our terminal, right, this is done. So I already had OpenCV installed, so it didn't install. That's why it's saying requirement already satisfied here. So let me just get rid of the terminal. So let me just minimize it. Then I'm gonna run our system, then see where we ended off and where we are now. Okay, so here we're on a dashboard, right? Then let's open consultations. Okay, so this is empty. Okay. I just thought of something, right? So here we have scheduled appointments, right? And if you go back to our system, we're gonna see that we have scheduled appointments in our consultation screen. So what I'm thinking of doing, right, is making sure that we add a pattern behavior to our consultations tab, to our appointments tab. So then make sure that when we click on the appointment, we can be able to set it to from schedule to maybe completed, so that we can only see the appointments that are scheduled, and the ones that are completed are not displayed, right? So I'm just gonna minimize this, then go to widgets folder, open our tables.py. Right, so we're gonna need scheduled appointments here. Okay. Before I do that, I'm just gonna go to elite.py. I'm thinking of making sure the screen is maximized here. So here I'm gonna say window dot maximize. Shouldn't be an O here. Like this, then parentheses. So let's rerun it. So now it's just gonna fill up the whole screen. Okay, much better. Let's proceed. So where is tables.py? Okay, yeah. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna make sure that this is going to be a button. Our whole, what do you call it? Our whole scheduled appointment tab is going to be a button, right? So here I'm gonna say, let me put a comma here. So this one is going to be button behavior, right? So most of the stuff is going to be imported up here in the template. Then underneath our status, I'm gonna add a callback. That then this one is going to be an object property. Then put parentheses. So inside parentheses, I'm gonna say allow none. Then I'm gonna set it to true, right? So that the system doesn't crash whenever we don't assign anything to our callback, right? Okay. So now let me scroll upwards. Then we need to add a callback inside our KV file, right? So inside our scheduled appointments tab, inside the KV file, yeah, I'm gonna add an on press function, right? So on press, this is what's gonna happen when we press on our scheduled appointments tab. So what I'm gonna say is root dot callback parentheses, then pass input like this, right? So now our scheduled appointments tab is now a button. So now let's navigate to our dashboard folder, then dashboard.py. Okay. So now we need to make sure we fetch certain information from our appointments table. So down here where it says where a.user ID is equals to, we're gonna say and a.status like this is equal to percentage %s. Okay, like this. Then inside of values, I'm gonna add a comma, then put quotes. So yeah, I'm gonna say scheduled. So we just make sure that we only fetch the appointments that are scheduled, right? Then status. But anyways, I'm just gonna leave it in there. Let's look here. So we're passing reason and status also. Fine. Okay. So we need to add our callback, right? So what we need to do underneath the status here, right? I'm gonna say table raw dot callback. Then this is going to be we should say self first. So self dot we said update underscore status underscore excuse me callback like this. So let me control D, control C it. Then down here define then paste this here, right? Self then pause here. So what I'm gonna do is because I'm thinking of adding a pop-up, a confirmation pop-up box, right? So that you make sure it asks the user, are you sure you want to complete this appointment, right? So here you just say define, press this, get rid of callback, Then here I'm gonna say self. Then let's pass in instance, right? So this is going to be the instance of the scheduled appointments tab, right? So for now I'm gonna say pass in here. So let me copy this update status, then replace it here inside our schedule, right? Then after we accept the or decline it, right? So if you accept the command inside the update status, that's when we're gonna call the update status callback, right? So let's navigate to widgets folder and open our pop-ups reply, right? So what we're calling here is this confirm pop-up here. So it's a mode of view, so it's gonna be on top of our screen, right? So what we're gonna do here is let's navigate back to dashboard.py. So down here, I'm just gonna say we're going to need our ID, right? Because the ID is one of the only thing that's going to be different, right? So we might find the same information similar to another record inside our table, right? So we might have an issue there, but using the ID is just going to be unique. So here let's just say what should we call it? We may need to create a variable on top, but it's fine. So here let me just say self dot let me call it update appointment, like this. So this is going to be an ID. So the ID is going to tab, and we're going to pass this scheduled appointment tab inside our instance. So to fetch this ID, we're gonna say instance dot ID, like this. Now let's call for our confirmation pop-up. So let me just create a variable. So I'm just gonna call it update status, like this. So this is going to be our confirm pop-up. So let me put parentheses at the end here. Then let me say update status dot. So let me open popups.py. So here we have title and callback. So title is going to be like the text that's going to be displayed for the user, right? So in this case, it's just going to be mark appointment as completed. So this is going to be our title. Then callback. So this is what's going to happen. Let's say if we press yes. So this is going to call another function. So this callback is the one that's going to call this update status callback at the bottom here. So now let's just pass in our title. So our title, let's just keep it simple. So let's just say mark appointment as completed. And let's put a question mark here. Right. So now let's say update status dot callback. Right. So this is going to be self dot update status callback. So let me get rid of parentheses here. Because if we leave parentheses here, right? So whenever we assign and we put parentheses, it's just going to be the function is going to run, right? But if you don't put parentheses, you're just gonna wait to call it, then you're gonna run this function, right? So what we need to do now is we need to open our confirm pop-up. So you're gonna say update status dot open, like this. So now we're going to be able to open our pop-up, then select yes or no, right? So now we need to create this self dot appointment variable, right? So let me just scroll upwards. So we can put it on top here, or we can put it here. So let me just put it here. Then I'm gonna say it's equal to none, like this, right? So now to update our status, right? Our appointment status. So now we're gonna need an ID. So here we need to say ID is equal to. So now we go so let me just paste it self dot appointment, right? Then we need to create a variable for the status. So status, we're just gonna set it to completed, like this, right? So now what we need to do, right? Let me just scroll upwards and copy something. So I'm going to copy this from here to here, right? Then paste it here. Then I'm going to get rid of everything inside this try here. Okay. Right. Okay, let me leave it like this. I was thinking of putting some space between our status and our connection variable. Okay. So what we need inside this try block, we need to say SQL, right? And our SQL statement is going to say update appointments set status is equal to percentage s where id is equal to percentage s, like this. Okay, then we're gonna need values. So values, so this is going to be a list. So inside the list, we're gonna have status because we need to first update status. Then we're gonna need an ID inside there. Okay, it's a cursor dot execute. So we're gonna execute SQL and values, right? We need to commit. So con dot commit. Let's put parentheses here. Then what we need to do, right? We need to caution here. So here I'm gonna say self dot. Let me scroll upwards. Okay, so it's show scheduled appointments. Okay, paste it here, put parentheses. Okay, so now, right, now we are able to update our appointments. So let me just try to update one. Okay, so I'm just gonna press this one. So let's update John Doe, right? Okay, mark appointment is completed. Yes, we have an error here. Update status callback takes one positional argument, but two were given. Okay, okay. Um, so this year I need to say comma star args, right? Or you can just put underscore here. It will still be fine. Let me run it. Okay. Moment of truth. Okay, so this works, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy these scheduled appointments and just paste it inside our consultation screen. Same with the backend with the Python code and everything, right? So let me minimize this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select this up until here, right? Then navigate to consultations.py. Then let me just create some space in here, then paste it here. So let me import this connection. We need data.connection. Okay. Confirm pop-up. Okay. We need to import our warning pop-up. Okay, we're gonna need this. Okay, so let's leave everything else like this, right? Excuse me. Let's look at our dashboard.py. We might need some variables here. Definitely gonna need user ID. And if you look at our consultation.png, right? Let me try and make it a little bit larger. As you can see here, we have these information cards, right? So they're a little bit different than the ones we had in the dashboard screen, right? So I'm just gonna copy everything here, then change the one for consultations. Then I'm just gonna this one was appointments, so this one is going to be pending appointments. But these three are just gonna remain the same. Then one, we're just gonna change one to total consultations. Okay. So let's navigate back to dashboard.py. Scheduled appointments. Did we put this one? We didn't put this one. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy all these variables before our enter function. Then inside consultations.py, I'm just gonna paste them. Yeah, paste them. Okay, let me paste them underneath our consultation types. Okay, paste them here. We need to import this from Kivy properties, right? So here we have beds. So we need to change this to consultations. We're not gonna need recent patients. So let me get rid of it. We need to import this list property. In addition to our user ID, we're gonna need a staff ID, right? Because since a doctor is going to be conducting the consultation, we're gonna need their ID, right? So I'm just gonna Control C, Control V here. Then I'm gonna paste it one more time because you're gonna need the patient ID also, right? So this is going to be staff ID. Then this one is going to be patient ID, like this, right? This is looking okay. So now we need to wait. Let me navigate to dashboard.py, right? So I'm gonna right. Then okay, let me select from here to our on enter function here. Then go to consultations.py. Then I'm gonna paste this here like this, right? So this one here needs to be consultations, like this. So we're gonna say select count from. So this is going to be appointments where user ID and status. So status, this one needs to be completed like this, right? Let's see. So this is going to be total consultations. Okay. Refresh recent patients. We're not gonna need this one. Refresh appointments. We're gonna need this one. We're not gonna need these three here. So let me get rid of them. We need to import this clock here. So this is going to be from kivy.clock. Okay. So before we test anything out, we need to open dashboard.kv, right? So I'm gonna copy everything from here to here. Then I'm gonna paste it inside dashboard.kv. Consultations.kv. Okay, it is like this. So this needs to be consultations. Okay. So this needs to be let's look at consultations.png. So this is total consultations, and we need to change that one to pending appointments. Okay. This is scheduled appointments. Scheduled appointments is fine, so we can leave it like that. Then this one needs to be total consultations. Okay. So let me put this one at the top, because if you look at what did I just do? Control X, Control V, okay? Because if you look at consultations.png, right, this is at the start, right? So, and we need to change this icon. So this is a stethoscope, right? I'm just going to have to forgive me for butchering that word, right? Okay. So where is our icon? Okay. Okay. Like this, right? Let's try running this and see if we don't get any error or anything. Okay. Consultation. There's something that we didn't put that. Okay, so total consultations, total patients, total doctors, scheduled appointments. Okay, so why are we not getting some information here? Where's consultations.py? Show scheduled appointments. One of the core field cards. So I'm gonna put it on top of show scheduled appointments. So self dot show field cards, then put parentheses, right? So the reason why we got a pop-up, right, is because we don't have what did we put? Okay, because we don't have somewhere to put these consultations tab, these scheduled appointments tabs, right? Where is it? Show scheduled appointments. Okay, so we don't have these yet. So that's why we got an error, right? Excuse me. Okay, so let's try running it and see if our field cards are updated. They have any numbers filled out or anything. So consultation. Okay, so we have one consultation. Total patients, total doctors, scheduled appointments. One. We have one total consultations. Ah, how? So where do we have field code for appointments? Okay, so let's get rid of this status here, right? Because we need to fetch all appointments, right? So um we didn't change this to consultations. Okay, I see why. Then we're not gonna need this. Okay, so let's rerun it again. Okay, so now we have zero consultations in our system, right? Okay, now let's proceed on making sure that we have a box where the doctor can be able to record information from the consultations and our scheduled appointments on the right. Okay, minimize this, open consultations.kv. So what I'm gonna do is get rid of this size in Y. So we just make sure that the size is just gonna take up the remaining space that's left out by our cards on top here, like this. So let's open dashboard.kv. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy some things from our dashboard.kv so that we don't have to like redo them every time. All right. So yeah, okay, box layout. We're gonna need this one. So let me just copy it like this. Okay. Navigate to consultations.kv. So I'm gonna paste this twice like this, right? So I'm not gonna need this sizing here, right? So okay, let me do this. Okay. So let's make this one 2/3. Then when I make the one for appointments 1/3 like this, right? And let's go downwards. So I'm just gonna copy everything from the appointments, right? Let's navigate to dashboard.kv. Okay. Okay, so let's rerun it. Open a consultation. Okay, so now we have scheduled appointments displayed here, right? So now that's fine. So now we need to work on our consultations part, right? So let me minimize this. So let's look at our consultations.png. So as you can see, we have a label which says consultations. So it's one similar to these appointments on our appointments box layout, right? Okay, so let's go back to consultations.kv and start working on it. So let me put some spacing here. Okay. So now let's start. So first we need to put an MD label like this. Then we're gonna give this some sizing. So this is going to be sizing y, which we're gonna set to none, and our height, I'm gonna set this to 30 display pixels like this. Then we need to give this some text, right? So our text, like on our consultations.png, we're just gonna call it consultation like this. Then let's give it some font style. So our font style is going to be label and raw. Then I set this one to, let's set this one to medium. Okay. We need to make this bold. So bold needs to be true like this. Then underneath that we had, let's look at our image again. We had two drop downs here, right? So what we need to do is we need to create those ones and put them in the same line, right? Okay. So here let's put a box layout like this. Then I need to give this some spacing. Before we do that, let's give it some sizing. Y, which we're gonna set to none, and our height, let's set it to 35 display pixels like this. Then let's give these some spacing. So we're gonna have two drop downs in there, right? So we need to give them some spacing, and we're gonna set our spacing to 10 display pixels like this, right? So inside these ones, right? Let's put a box layout like this. Then let's give it some padding. So I'm gonna give it some padding of 1 display pixel. Then let's give it some background color. So let me just copy this here. So we need to tap these inside. Okay. Here we need to say canvas dot before like this. Okay. So I'm gonna duplicate this, then paste it underneath this one. Then I'm gonna tap it inside. Right. Then in here, excuse me, I'm gonna change this color to FFFFFF. So this is a white background color. All right. Um, let's put F7 or 7 F7 like we did with our search box in the first video, right? Okay. And we need to change the padding, right? So let me put this at square brackets, right? So on the left and right, we need to add 10 display pixels. Then the top and bottom, I'm gonna add 2.5. So that is, oh, in total, just gonna be 5 display pixels shared between the top and the bottom. So we're just gonna say 2.5 dp here, like this. Then inside this um light gray box layout, right, I'm gonna put an MD label. Then let me scroll upwards. So I'm gonna give this some size, it x of none, like this. Then width, I'm gonna set this to, let's say, 60 display pixels, like this. Then let's give you some text. So if we look at our image, right, the first one is a patient, okay? So this needs to be patient, like this. Then let's give this some font style. So let me just copy the font style we put. Let me just copy everything from here. Then I'm gonna paste it here. Excuse me. Okay, like this. Then next to it, we need to add a spinner, right? So here, let's say spinner, and let's give it an ID. Our ID is just going to be patient, like this. Then some text. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna navigate to our widgets folder and open patterns, right? So where do we have a custom drop down? Oh, we have it selected. So let me just select it like this. What is consultations with KV? Okay, here. So I'm just gonna paste it here. Okay, get rid of this. Right. So what we could have done, right? We could have created this to a custom widget, right? But then we're gonna have some issues whenever we add our values to the spinner, right? Because we will have to trigger something whenever we select a patient, right? So what I later discovered was whenever you select a user, right, you can actually get the index where the information is at in the values list, right? But then if you have two identical names or two identical individuals, right? Because we're just gonna be displaying the names, right? We're gonna have an issue where you can only send the index of the first item that it finds, and but if we select, let's say, the third item which is identical to the first one, it's only gonna return the ID of the first one, right? So that was causing a problem. So now I'm just gonna do this. Then later on, I'm gonna create the custom widget, right? Okay. So we need to get rid of these values here because we're gonna be adding these values from our Python file, right? And the text here, we need to say select patient, like this. Okay. Then let's put 3 dots here. Okay. So oh, we need to add an on text here. So on underscore text, right? Here we're gonna say root dot let's just call the function get patient info, right? Get underscore patient underscore info, right? Parentheses. Then what we need to do, we need to pass in the text that we have on our spinner, right? So here I'm just gonna say patient dot text, right? We're just gonna be calling it with the ID here. So we're just gonna say patient, which is this spinner, right? Dot text here. Okay, so let me save this. So what we need to do here is we can duplicate this, right? Okay. Paste it. I'm gonna get rid of this on text here, right? Then this is going to be select console consultation type like this, and we need to have values here. So values is going to be root dot what did we call it? Okay, control D, control C. So let's paste it here like this. Okay, and this one needs to be consultation type, right? Now let's look at our image. So here is just type. Okay, so let's just use type. Okay, then underneath that, let me just put an empty box layout for now. Okay, so box layout like this. So let's run this and see how this looks. Okay, so let's open consultations. Okay, so here we have our consultations. Let's select dental checkup. Okay, um, let's make sure that we can pass our information to our patient drop down here real quick. Okay, so let's open consultations.py here. Mm, we can actually let me get rid of this. We can do it underneath this one, or we can create our own function that stands on its own, right? Excuse me. Okay, let me select here and get rid of everything up until here. We need to, what did we call this one? We call it anything, but let's not make it a separate function. So let me just control Z and get rid of everything here. Okay, so I'm gonna put it underneath this one. So I'm just gonna copy this, some space, then paste it here. So let's get rid of count here. So now we're gonna say select all from patients where user IDs, our user ID, right? Then now we need to get rid of this, and this needs to be fetch all like this. Okay, right. So we're not gonna need these these two here, but we can change this to nah. Let's get rid of everything. Right. So here, let's create a function. I'm just gonna call it list of patients like this. Then you're just gonna make it an empty list like this. Then here, what we need to do, we're gonna say for x and what do we call it? So let's change this to patients list, right? Let me paste it here, right? So we're gonna say for x in patients list, right? Then we're gonna say list of patients dot let's append, right? So what are we appending? So excuse me. So since we're gonna need an ID so that we can save it or database, right, whenever we complete a consultation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take the ID and combine it with the name, right? So that it's going to be easier on us. Because what I was thinking at first, right, I was thinking that we can just add the name, right? Then store the names in the same way. What do you call it? We're gonna store the user IDs in the same order as our names are going to be displayed on our drop downs, right? But the issue with that was if you find duplicate text values, right, it's only gonna return the index of the first one. So we're not gonna be able to properly use that index to get the right patient, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna combine the user ID and the name, right? So here our user ID is going to be an integer. So here I'm gonna turn it to a string. Then this is going to be an x at index 0. Then I will need to concatenate it. So here I'm just gonna put some space like this. Then we're gonna concatenate our name, and our name is going to be at index 2 like this, right? So now after our for loop, right, we just need to say self.ids.patient.values. It's going to be, excuse me, list of patients like this. So let's rerun it. Okay, so let's open consultation. Why don't we have why is this not doing anything? Okay, minimize it. The patient dot value, so this is okay. Select all from patients. Um okay, let me look at consultations.kv. Well, we didn't change this one to type, right? So our our patients are being displayed on the second one, which is supposed to display consultation types, right? So let me just control D, control C, and this one just say consultation type like this. So let me run it again. This should have fixed it. Consultations. Okay, so we have our patients here and we have our consultation types here, right? So let me minimize this and proceed, right? So if you look at our image, right, underneath our drop downs here, right, we have labels. So this one displays the date of birth because the doctor may need the information, let's say, um, judging symptoms depending on age, gender, and blood type, that kind of thing, right? Okay, so you can actually tweak this and add more information. So I'm just making this information the best of my knowledge. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not gonna know everything that's needed here. So you guys just have to bear with me here. Okay, so let's proceed. So underneath here, excuse me, let me leave this box layout here so that it pushes everything upwards as we continue with our system, right? So here, let me create a box layout. And I'm gonna give it a size in Y. I'm just gonna give it a size in Y of 30 display pixels. So our height is going to be 30 display pixels like this. Then let's give it some spacing. And we're just gonna be using 10 display pixels as our spacing and as our padding most of the time, right? Then let's give it some padding. Okay, so the left and right padding just gonna set it to 10 display pixels. Then the top and bottom padding gonna set it to 0 like this. So inside G, right, let's put an MD label. Then the first one, let's look at our image, right? So what I'm thinking is I'm just gonna make sure that the label is just gonna line up with the bottom one here, right? So the first one, the patient did 60 display pixels, the label, right? So this one is going to have 70. or 60. So let's just proceed and if 60 looks okay, I'm just gonna leave it like that. But I'm just gonna try and make sure it lines up with everything at the bottom so that everything is just uniform and looks so much better that way. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna say size int x. I'm gonna set it to none, and width. Gonna set it to let's try 70 for now. 70 display pixels. Then gonna say text. So the first one was date of birth, right? So it's going to be DOB like this. Then we're gonna need this here. So let me just copy this. Then paste it here. Okay. So now, right, do we need to make this one bold? We can make the labels bold, but then the information that's gonna come from our database, let's say the person's date of age, date of birth, we're not gonna make it bold, right? So I'm gonna copy this and paste it 5 more times. So we have 2, 4, okay, 6 like this. Let's get rid of the text and everything here. So this one, let's give it an ID of blood underscore type like this. And let's get rid of bold here. This one we'll leave it like this, but let's get rid of this size index. And this needs to be blood type. Like this. Then this one we need to get rid of bold. Get rid of the size int x. And this needs to be gender, right? And this needs to be gender like this. This needs to be an ID, not text. So let's get rid of quotes here. Let's get rid of this and this. This needs to be DOB and this needs to be an ID like this. And we're gonna get rid of this bold here. Okay. This should be fine. So what we can do here, like, excuse me, is excuse me. I got a bit of a cold, so I'm just coughing and my voice is pretty bad. But you guys just have to bear with me a little bit more. Okay. So let's look at our spinner, right? Our patient spinner, right? So we added this get patient info function on text, right? So what we need to do with this one is whenever we select, let's say, one patient, right? We're gonna fetch their information, then we're gonna display it on the person's date of birth, their gender, their blood type, and their previous medical history, right? So let's create this function. So let's navigate to consultations.py and let's put it down here. So I'm gonna say define, paste it, and it's gonna take in self and text like this. Let me put pause for now. So yeah, right. For now I just put pause, right? But what we need to do here is we need to extract our user ID from the text that is going to be passed on from the spinner, right? Then we're gonna pass in that ID in that patient ID variable we put it first, right? When we created the consultations screen, right? So to do that, excuse me, I'm gonna get rid of pass here. Then I'm gonna say patient underscore ID is equal to, excuse me. So I'm gonna take in this text here, right? Then here I'm gonna say text. Then let's put excuse me. Okay, here let's put square brackets here. Then inside here, I'm gonna say, let me put a semicolon. Then I'm gonna say text dot find. So what are we trying to find, right? We're trying to find this. So here, let's just put some space like this. So what this does is it just takes everything up until it gets to here, right? So what we did is we added our user ID first, then we added this. So it's gonna take in the user ID, then stops when it finds this here. Right. So after doing this, I will need to pass this to our self.patient ID. So I'm gonna say self dot patient ID is equal to patient ID like this. Right. So now that we have this patient ID, what we need to do is we need to fetch the information. We need to fetch the date of birth, the gender, and the blood type. So I'm gonna copy this here. Then I'm gonna paste it here like this. Let me get rid of this. Okay, like this. Right. So here we need to say select all from patients where ID. We're not gonna need user ID. We're just gonna fetch the ID, right? So this ID is going to be our patient ID, like this, right? And this needs to be fetch all. So let's get rid of this. Okay. So let's change this patients folder to patient info. Let's get rid of this comment. So now we need to create a for loop, and I'm gonna use that for loop to fetch the irrelevant information that we need here. So here I'm gonna say for X in patient info, right? I'm gonna say we code our ID, we have our DOB, gender, and blood type. So here I'm gonna say self dot IDS dot first one was DOB dot text. So this is going to be, let's say, str. So let's make it a string, right? Then let's put X. So it's an index what now? Um let's see. Okay, we have create.py, right? Okay, let's look at this. So here we have 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. We don't need this. What am I doing now? We need patients table. Okay, 0, 1. So name is at index 2. Date of birth is at index 3. Gender at index 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So blood type is at index 8. Okay. So this needs to be at index 3, right? So I'm gonna duplicate this 2 more times. And this needs to be at index 4, and other one was index 8, like this, right? So let me rerun this and see if that works. What we just did, if it works. Okay, consultation. Let's select our patient. Okay. Blood type is appearing at date of birth. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. So this needs to be gender, and this needs to be blood underscore type, like this. So let's run it. Okay, so this works, right? So let's minimize it. Let's open consultation.png. So now we need to create these down here, right? what we can do, right? We can create what do you call it? Um, a grid. We can use a grid layout, right? We just give it two columns go horizontally. Then we're just gonna put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what we can do is we can just create a custom widget for these 10 items here, text inputs here. We can just create a custom widget for that. So let's open let's navigate to our widgets folder, text field. So when I create our custom widgets here, right? So what I'm thinking is we can create two, right? We can create one which is just like one line going horizontally. Then we can have another one which can just take up more space, right? This is going to be like a large version of it. So underneath this text field here, I'm just gonna put a line of hashtags as a separator. And down here, I'm gonna say custom text field. Okay, let's just call it custom text field like this. So let's give this a size int y of none, and the height of 35 display pixels, right? Then we're gonna give this some padding of 1 display pixel. And let's give it a background color. So this one's going to be canvas dot before, then semicolon, then we're gonna say color, semicolon, RGBA, then and RGBA, parentheses. Then inside here we need to say hashtag excuse me, E9, E9, E9 like this. Then we're gonna say rounded rectangle, right? So here we're gonna say pause, and this is going to be self.pause. Then size is going to be self.size like this. Then we're gonna give this some radius, and excuse me, we're gonna say 5,5,5,5 like this, right? Okay, so here let's put a box layout, right? So in here, let's give this one a padding. We're gonna say 10 display pixels for the left and right side. Then 2.5 display pixels for the top and bottom, right? This needs to be a G, not a D. Okay, that's done. Let's give this box layout some spacing of 10 display pixels. Excuse me. Um, let's give this a background color. So I'm just gonna copy this here, then paste it here, and we need to tab it inside once. Then this needs to be F7, 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 like this. Okay. Then we need to have an empty label here and a text field. So first, let's put a text field because this is going to be much easier, right? So we're just gonna say text field. Then I'm gonna give it an ID. Um, let's call it text input because we're going to be reusing this widget a lot of times, right? So let's just call it text input like this. Then I'm gonna say hint underscore text. So this is going to be root dot hint underscore text like this, right? Then I'm gonna say multi-line. So we're gonna set this to false like this, right? So on top of this text field, we need to have an ND label. So let's give this MD label a size int x of none and the width of 60 display pixels. Okay. Then we need to say text. So this is going to be the label. So let's say we're trying to enter someone's name. So this is what's going to be added here. So text here, we're just gonna say root dot label. So we're gonna create this int text variable and this label variable in a minute, right? So now let's add this let's give this MD label some font styling. So here let's just say font style. So this is going to be label and the row is going to be medium like this. Then let's make it bold. So bold is going to be true like this, right? So what we need to do, I'm just gonna copy this and duplicate it, right? And the second one, I'm gonna call it custom text field large like this, right? So with the large one, we're not gonna need any size in Y, right? So let me get rid of it like this. Then what I'm gonna do down here is this text field I'm gonna leave it like this, but then this MD label I'm gonna put it inside an anchor layout. So here I'm gonna say anchor layout like this. Then I'm gonna let me tap this once, right? So then I'm gonna take this size in X and give it to this anchor layout. Then what I'm gonna do inside this anchor layout, I'm gonna say anchor Y, and I'm gonna anchor everything inside this anchor layout to the top like this. Right? And this MD label is going to have size int Y, which I'm gonna set to none, and the height is going to be 30 display pixels like this. Now that we're done with our KV files, right, down here when I say class, so we've called the first one custom text field, right? So here we're just gonna say custom text field. So this is going to be a box layout. Then inside here we're gonna have a label, which is going to be a string property. So we need to import this box layout here. Import kivy.ux. Okay. Let me duplicate this 2 more times. This one needs to be int underscore text, and the third one was input underscore filter. Okay, so this one is going to be a string, right? Like this. So let's duplicate. Excuse me. Let's duplicate it, and when I make this one large, right? But then we're gonna get rid of this input filter here, like this. So when I leave this like this, so what we need to do is we need to import it. So inside our init.py file, which is inside our app folder, we need to import this one. So let's import it. Let's import it here, right? So this is going to be custom text field. So let me copy this, and this is going to be large like this, right? So now we should be able to use this inside our KV file, right? Okay. Okay. So this is going to be a grid layout. Then I'm gonna give this grid layout some spacing of 10 display pixels. So this spacing is just gonna be the spacing for the items horizontally and vertically also, right? We need to add some columns here. So we're gonna say cos 2 here. So we're just gonna be having two items stacked horizontally in our grid layout, right? So what we need to do here, right? And I use one of our custom widgets, right? So if you look at our image, here we have the big ones, right? So we're just gonna use the large one, the custom text field large. So I'm just gonna put it here. So custom text field large like this, right? And if you look at our image, right, we have a label and the hint text here, right? So here we have CC is more like chief complaint. So most of these information are just abbreviated medical terms, right? So I'm not gonna be bothering with mentioning all of them because I really don't know this stuff. I just got this idea when I was working on a project a couple months back. So I thought I could share something similar, but it's a lot different from what I was making back there. But the idea is the same. Okay. So let's proceed. So here we need to add a label, right? Let's give you an ID first. And let's call our ID CC. Then we're gonna say label. Let's just put CC again. Let's put this inside quotes. Then hint text. So our hint text is going to be, let's look at our image. Reason for seeking medical attention. Okay. Okay. So let me just add that like this. So if we look at our image, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it 9 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's we don't need to run it just yet. So let's just continue working on this. So next to CC, we have HPI. So this is more like history of present illness, right? So here they just say detailed history of present illness like this. Excuse me. Then we have PMH, previous medical history. What we can do, right? Let me control D and control C this. Navigate to consultations.py and down here, let me place this. Right. So here, since we're using our custom widget, right? The PMH is just like the ID for the box layout, right? But in order to fetch the text or add the text inside the text field inside the box layout, right? Just gonna call the ID of that box of that text field inside the box layout, and you call it int underscore text like this or text, right? So this one, let me just make it 9. Let me get rid of this here, right? So now whenever we select our patient, we should be able to, let me just run this and show you what I'm talking about. Consultation. Okay, here we have consultation, right? So if we select this patient, right, console, what's happening? We should have seen the previous medical history displayed here, right? So let me just go back and see what's wrong. In text or text like this. Text field reply. Oh, it's text input. What did I call it here? Like this. Okay, so let me run it again. Open consultation. Okay. So now, right, the doctor can see that the patient had diabetes, right? So now let's continue working on these other 7 custom text fields. Then minimize this. Go back to consultations.kv. Then we're gonna need consultations.png. I'm sorry. So now we have we need to put PE. So this is more like physical examination. So most of these things are just explained in the in-text, right? So this here is PE. This one PE in caps. Now I'm just gonna say physical examination. Then we have ROS. So reveal of symptoms. This. Then what we have next? So here we have allergies. And inside here we have any known allergies. So what do we have next? We have family history. Family underscore history. So here we're gonna say family history like this. So what do we have inside the in-text is our in-text. So in here we have health conditions and close relatives, genetic or hereditary. Okay. So this is health conditions and close relatives. So inside brackets, right? What do we have inside here? We have genetic or hereditary. Okay. Genetic or hereditary like this. Then after family history, we have social history. Okay, so social underscore history. Okay, social history like this. So what we have is our in text. So we have our lifestyle, occupation, living situation, blah blah blah. Let me just say lifestyle. And keeping it simple, we don't have to add all of this stuff. So I'm just gonna say lifestyle. Then I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay. A lifestyle. So next we have diagnosis, right? So okay, consultations with KV. So this needs to be diagnosis. These also. So here I'm just gonna say doctor's diagnosis like this. Then what's the last one? Treatment. Then this ID needs to be treatment also. Then here let's just say prescribed treatment like this. Right. Underneath that we should have a box layout like this. So let me just look at consultations.png real quick. Okay. So now we have these input fields done, right? We just need to add these buttons here. So this clear button, right? Let's say we've entered some information here and we just want to clear it. The user won't have to like do it manually. We can just use this clear button, right? So we're just gonna implement that now. Then this structure detection, right? What it's just gonna do is I just wanna make it like make us able to select an image, like let's say an X-ray image. Then once we select it, then it's just gonna be shown on the screen and the fractures are just gonna be detected there. Then we have the save button. So this what this does is just save the information that we're gonna put inside these fields here. But then it's not gonna store the patient's name, it's gonna store the patient's ID, right? Then it's not gonna store this information here. The date of birth, the gender, and the blood type, and the previous medical history. So this is also is not gonna be stored, but you can actually store it still fine. So now let's work on these buttons here. All right. So let's navigate back to consultations.kv. So let's give this box layout a size and y, which we're gonna set to none, and some height. So let's set this to hmm, let's do 35 display pixels. So we're just gonna be maintaining this 35 display pixels from now on. So this is some spacing because if you look at our image, we have 3 buttons in there. So let's give it some spacing of 10 display pixels, right? So if you look at our image, we have 3 buttons which are all set to the right, right? And some empty space on the left. But what we're gonna do is instead of having some empty space, right, we're just gonna put an empty label that's gonna act as our error, like our error label, right? So everything each time we're just gonna want to display an error, it's just gonna be displayed on the left side next to our buttons, right? Okay. So here I'm gonna say MD label like this. Then I'm gonna give it an ID of error. Um, I'm not gonna give you any size into Y or X, right? Just gonna leave it like this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you some font style of label. Then raw. Um, let's just make it small so that it's gonna be smaller than the other labels. So raw is going to be small. Then let's align the text to the center because by default MD labels have their text aligned to the left, right? So each align is going to be center here, and like this. Then we need to add our buttons, right? So let's we buttons the pie, right? Okay, so here we have this custom float button and this custom button. So we're gonna use this custom button here. So there's some text and an icon. Okay, but it doesn't have any size int y and size int x. So we're just gonna have to set the size int y and the size int x inside our KV files. But since it's inside this box layout which already has a size int y set, right? We need to set the size int x only. So here I'm gonna say custom button like this. Then size int x, which we're gonna set it to none, and our width is going to be did you say 100 display pixels? Let's start with 100, but if it's too much you can just reduce it to 80, right? Now we need to give this button an icon. So let's look at our image. So here it's a button to clear things and it has a Chrome, right? Okay, so here let's just say Chrome. Then text should just be clear like this. Then we need to add an on press here. So this is what's going to happen when you press the button. So we're just gonna say root dot clear. So we're just gonna call this function clear, right? We're gonna create this function in a minute, so I'm just gonna leave it like this for now. Let me just copy this instead of typing it, retyping it over and over. So the next one was let's look at our image. The next one was fracture detection and save. So yeah, this needs to be save, and the icon was a plus, and this one was fracture detection like this. But we might need to up this to 150 display pixels, and this needs to be magnified. So this is like a magnifying glass, so more like trying to look for the fracture. So this needs to be save, and this one, let's just call it fracture detection like this. Okay, so let's run it again, see how this looks. Let's give this MD label some color before we run it. So let's give it a red color. Then let's give it some dummy text for now. We're just gonna get rid of it as soon as we run this. Okay, so let's run it now. Okay, let's open consultation. This is looking okay, but our clear and save buttons are looking way too big, right? So we're gonna reduce this to 80 and 80 here. Our error label is looking okay. So now we need to work on this clear button, then this save button, then we're gonna work on fracture detection afterwards. Okay, so let's minimize this, get rid of this text here. Open consultations.py. So So the first one, I'm just gonna say define clear, right? It's gonna take in self and a lot of, excuse me, and it's gonna take in a lot of IDs here. So the first one is just say self dot IDs dot um patient dot text. This is going to be, let's say, select patient dot. I'm going to duplicate this. So this one is going to be consultation type, like this. And I'm going to copy these here and paste them here. Okay. Um, let's see. I'm feeling way too lazy to do. To be checking everything once and pasting it on the other side. So what I'm gonna do is gonna select everything from here to here. Then I'm gonna paste it right here. Right. So I'm gonna get rid of everything. Okay. And get rid of these. Like this. I'm just trying to save some time here. Plus, I'm just being lazy. Okay. Right. Okay. So just tap these inside like this. So let me copy this here like this. Then I paste it here. Okay. And paste it here also. So what I'm gonna do now, right? I'm just gonna do this. Then self dot ideas dot like this. Then I'm gonna shift tab this once. This one is already down there, so I'm gonna remove this one like this. Okay. So our clear function should be working just fine, right? So let's rerun it and see if everything is working out okay. Okay, so let's select the patient, consultation type. So in here, I'm just going to be entering random information. Okay, so let's try clearing it. We have an error. What did we mess up? Self.patient ID is equal to patient ID. Okay. So it called this information, right? So in order to try and avoid this error, right? What we can do, right? We can use an if statement so that we can just say if text is equal to select patient, right? It's just gonna pass. Else, that's when it's just gonna fetch the patient ID, right? So let's try that. So you're gonna say if text is equal to select patient dot dot dot, we just gonna pass, right? Else, that's why I'm gonna run this one. So let's rerun it and see if this works. Okay, moment of truth. What's the issue again? Error. Okay. So this one is not a custom widget, so we're not gonna need to do this part here. So just doing this is enough. Oh, let's run it again. Let's select Jane now this time. Okay. Well, clear. Okay. So everything's cleared. Okay. Fine. So now let's can you do fracture detection or let's do save. Then afterwards we'll work on our fracture detection. Define save, and it's gonna take in self, right? So I'm just gonna copy everything here, then paste it here. So we're not gonna need date of birth, gender, and blood type. So I'm gonna get rid of it, right? Then let me get rid of these. We're not gonna need this one. We're gonna need it, but not here. Okay, and get rid of this and this. So here I'm just gonna say patient is equal to, then consultation type is equal to, then this one is to be CC HPI PMH, this one is to be PE, This one is ROS. This one needs to be allergies. This one family history. Okay. This one social history. Then last one is treatment. Like this. Excuse me. So now what we need to do, right? Whenever we press save, right, then we have information there, right? Or we don't have information, but we need to check or we have selected a patient and some certain information like our consultation type and whatnot, right? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna make sure that the patient variable doesn't say select patient. The what you call it? The consultation type doesn't say select consultation type, and the other input fields are not empty, right? So that's what we're gonna do here. So here I'm gonna put a new statement, right? So here let me put this inside parentheses like this. Let me just say if patient is equal to select patient dot dot dot, right? So let me type this inside like this. Then or so this one needs to be or consultation type is equal to select consultation type dot dot dot. Then or CC is empty, or history of present illness is empty. Then we need to say or previous medical history is empty, or what's the next one? Physical examination is empty, or ROS is empty. What's the next one? Allergies is empty. We forgot O here, so let's just put it real quick. Then or what else do we have next? Family history is empty, or social history is empty. Then what's the next one? Diagnosis is empty, or the last one is treatment. And this, right? Let me just put this one here, right? So if it's empty, right? When I say self.ideas.arrow.text, we need to say filling or required fields like this, right? If all of these are not empty, right, and the patient is selected and the consultation is selected, we need to say else, right? So what we need to do here, we need to say self dot add consultation like this, and this needs to be a list, right? And we're gonna pass in all of these inside this list. So the first one is patient, then consultation type, then CC, HPI, PMH, PE, ROS, allergies, family history, social history, diagnosis, and treatment. Right. So let me scroll up. Okay, this now looks much better. Then after doing this, right, so we're gonna add this software consultation to the top in a minute. Let's just continue here and finish this function. So what we need to do now is we need to create a variable, and inside this variable we're gonna put our confirm pop-up, right? So if everything is filled out, that's when a pop-up is gonna show and it's gonna ask the user to save the information, right? So what we need to do here, add a variable, and I'm just gonna call it add consultation, right? But I'm just gonna write it in a different way than this self.add consultation one. So add consultation is going to be confirm pop-up, let's put parentheses here, then add consultation dot title is going to be, as you say, add consultation information or results or something, but I'm just gonna use add consultation information. Then here I'm gonna say add consultation dot callback is equal to, let's just call it self dot save underscore callback, like this. Then add consultation dot open, like this, right? So now we need to create this function real quick. Paste it. So this is gonna take in self and star args, like this. For now I'm just gonna say pause. Then I need to scroll upwards and add this self.consultation. I'm gonna put it here. And this is going to be an empty list, like this. Okay. So now let's proceed. Let me get rid of this one. This one. Okay, let me get rid of this one also. Then if you need anything, we're just gonna pull it back. So let's just clean everything up here. This one I'm gonna need it. Get rid of this one. We're not gonna need this one anymore. Okay. If we look at our consultation table, right, this is the information that we have, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this information. Let me leave it here for now. Let me leave it here. All right, let me leave it here. But we're gonna need a user ID, patient ID, staff ID. Then this other stuff we can get it from our other functions inside our consultation.py, right? So let's deal with these three first so that we don't forget about them, right? So let's get rid of this pass here. Then here, let's say staff ID is equal to self dot staff ID, like this. This needs to be patient ID, and this needs to be, excuse me, user ID. like this, right? So let me put this one at the top here, like this. Then on top here, right? If you look at our create.py file, right, you see that we have date and time right here. So we need to fetch the current date and the current time, right? So I'm just gonna say now, right, is the current time, right? Then I'm gonna say date time. So let's import this date time dot now. Let's put parentheses. We need to import this date time. Yeah, like this one. Then let's say time like this. So this one is going to be now strf2. And what you need to do, right? Let's say percentage h like this. Then percentage m, percentage m, then um percentage s like this, right? So now I can grab these other functions. So when I need consultation type, let me just grab everything here. Then when I filter out what we don't need, right? So we're not gonna need patient, right? If we look at the serve function, right, we can just get rid of this patient here. Okay. And consultation type, blah 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 blah. Okay. Let's look at our SQL statement here. So underneath consultation and CC, we have date and time, right? So this needs to be date, and date is going to be date dot today. So we need to import this. Okay, let me just scroll upwards. Okay, this should fix it. Um, let's put an underscore here. Now this is sorted. Now we have time, right? So time is going to be current time like this. So what we can do, that we can just fetch this information straight from the consultation window, or we can just use this add consultation list variable we created, right? So you can leave everything else like this, still gonna work, or you're gonna do this way, like the one way that I'm gonna do now. So if you have time, you can just follow what I'm gonna do now, or you can just leave everything like this, right? So I'm gonna get rid of this. Okay, cool. Um, Okay, so this one is going to be at index 0. It's at index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, like this. Right. So now we need to send this information to our database, right? So what I'm going to do is going to scroll upwards, copy this. Okay. Then paste it here like this. But then I'm going to get rid of this for loop here. Then underneath this one, we need to say con.commit like this. Then self.clear. So after adding the information to our database, we need to clear the information off our screens, right? So this is what the self.clear function is going to do here. So now we need to add these information inside our values. Then we're gonna work on the add insert into consultations SQL statement, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this one here. Then paste it here like this. So the first one is going to be user ID, right? User underscore ID, comma. Let's add a comma here also. This one is going to be patient ID, comma, staff ID, like this. Then we're gonna have consultation type. After consultation type, we need to have our date, underscore variable, comma, and our time variable, like this. Okay, shouldn't have been getting these red lines. Then we have CC, HPI, PMH, PE, ROS, allergies. Let me just put this one at the bottom so it looks a little bit better. Okay, like this. So now let's write our SQL statement here. So let me just get rid of everything here. Then we're gonna put triple quotes because this statement is going to be very long. So here we're gonna say insert into consultations, then parentheses, right? So what are we going to insert here? So we're gonna insert user ID, then patient ID, staff ID. So I'm just going to be putting most of this stuff here. So I'm just going to copy it. Like this. Okay. Then underneath this one, we need to say values, right? Then parentheses. So inside here, how many values do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so let me get rid of this. So here we need to say percentage s like this, right? Then we need to paste it 15 more times. So we have 1. So then to make them 16, so we're gonna say 1, then 2, 3, 4, oh. Let me select everything with a comma. So now we have 1, then we're gonna have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, like this. What's left now is just to run the system and check if we didn't make any errors or anything, right? And if we have made some errors, then we're gonna fix them. After fixing them, then we're gonna work on fracture detection, then the other screens. Okay, let's open consultation. Looking good. So let's fill this one out. Consultation type. Um, let me just enter. Let me just say headaches. Detailed list of present illness. Mm, I don't know. Let me just put some random information here. So temperature. I'm gonna set it to, let's say, 37 degrees Celsius. Then heart rate. Let's say, I don't know what's a scary number. So let me just enter some random. Let me just say 90/60. I don't know if this makes sense, but I'm just gonna put it. Then let me just say no rashes or something. I don't know. Okay, no rashes. But I doubt someone's gonna get a rash if they have a headache. So I don't know, man. Review of symptoms. Let's just say dehydration. I hope there are no doctors in here, bro. If there are doctors watching this thing, don't come at me, bro. Don't at me, please. So any allergies, let's just say I actually don't have any allergies. But let me just say bees. Family history, I don't, let's just say none. Social life, I don't know. Let's say works 70 hours a week. I don't know. 76 hours a week. Let's say 76 hours a week. Sleeps um less than 4 hours a day. Let's just say too much carbs in his diet. All of this information, and we have an error and it doesn't save, man. It's just gonna I'm just gonna be messed up about it. Diagnosis, let me just say dehydrated, lack of sleep, and then tired. And treatment, let me just say lots of fluids and lots of rest. Now let's try saving, right? Add consultation information. Yes. Okay. So the only way to check if this worked out right now is to open our browser and check out XAMPP, right? So I'm just gonna pause this, then open the browser and stuff. Okay, so now I have XAMPP open. So I'm just gonna open our hospital database, then open consultations. Okay, so we have our information saved in here, right? So what I'm gonna do real quick, right, is inside our PyCharm, right? Just gonna make sure that we get this user ID from the logged in user, right? So we're not gonna work on authentication for now, but I'm just gonna lay the foundation for something we're gonna use with our for authentication. So this is just gonna keep the ID, the staff ID, and the staff member's name, right? So we're just gonna be using a JSON file for that. So let's just do that real quick. And then after that we can proceed with everything. Right. So let me close this. I have a lot of stuff I'm not using open here. Okay. New file. Um, session.json. So inside there, when I put curly braces, right? So the first value is going to be user underscore ID like this, right? And let's just put one. Then we're gonna have stuff underscore ID, and this is going to be one also. Then we need to have the name of the staff member, right? So we're just gonna say user name like this. So for now, I'm just gonna say Tanaka Peter like this. Then we're not gonna need this for now. So close this. Open consultations.py. So let's scroll upwards, and inside this one, we need to create a function. So we need to say self dot get underscore user underscore ID. So let me copy this, Control D, Control C, then create the function here. It's gonna take in self. Let's put pass for now. So since we're gonna need the user ID to fill in our cards and get scheduled appointments, so we need this at the top here. So it needs to be around first, then we get our user ID. Then what about the rest of the other stuff once we have our user ID, right? So here, let's put a try block, right? So what we need here, we need our session file, right? So here when I say session underscore file is equal to session.json like this. Oh, this needs to be lowercase. .json like this, right? Then we're gonna say with open, so we're gonna open our JSON. So with open session file, right? Then we need to put an R here, because we just want to read, right? So that's why we're just gonna put an R here. Then excuse me, here we need to say as file, right? So inside this with open, right, I'm gonna say session is equal to JSON dot need to load the file, right? Parentheses, then file here, right? So let's import JSON. Okay. And once we have our session, right, we need to get our user ID and our staff ID. So here when I say self dot staff ID is equal to, so if we look at our session.json, right, so these are integers, user ID and staff ID, right? So we need to convert this to strings. So let's convert this to a string, and we can actually pass in numbers, right? Let's get rid of this. and this also, right? Then let me just control D and see if we were converting everything to strings. Okay, we converted to a string there and there. Let me just let's not convert it to a string here. So let me just get it the way it is here. Right. So here I'm gonna say session dot get, and what are we getting? Our user ID. So let me duplicate this line. So we have this should be user ID, and this should be stuff ID, like this. Then here let's add an exception. So we need to say except file not found error. We're just gonna return none. So if it doesn't find the session.json file, nothing is gonna happen. Let's see. So I'm gonna paste this inside the home.py file, right? So that we can just make sure that the name displayed on top is the one the user logged in. But then let's test this out before I go and try it inside the home.py file. Okay, consultation. We don't get any error. This is working just fine. Okay, so minimize this. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna copy this line here. Navigate to home.py. Then get rid of this return super. Paste this here. Let's import our clock. Right. Import JSON. Like this. So here we just need a username, right? So here we have user. We just called it user. So let me get rid of this one here. So this needs to be self.user. Then we're gonna get our username like this. So we're not gonna need this one. Are we gonna need this one? I doubt it. So let me get rid of these other information here. These are the functions. Let's see. So it's the same here. So let me just say Tanaka Peter XYZ. Okay, so now we're getting our information from our JSON, session.json file. And now we need to work on fracture detection, right? So let's minimize this and work on that real quick. So get rid of this session.json, get rid of home.kv. We're not gonna need this one, and we might need this one. Let me just copy this. Right. So let me put it here. Define. It's gonna take in self, right? Then here, excuse me. Let's put pass for now, right? Then let's scroll upwards because we need to add a file chooser here, so that you're going to be able to select the file from your PC, or because since we're using Kivy, you can actually use this on tablet also, right? So right, let's put it here before clock.schedule once, right? So this is where we're gonna put our file chooser, right? So I'm just gonna say self dot let's just call it file manager object, right? File manager underscore object is equal to MD file manager, right? Then parenthesis. So inside here, I'm just gonna say background underscore color underscore toolbar. I'm just gonna say it's equal to low, right? Comma. So I'm just gonna duplicate this, Control Z, Control C, Control V, and the next one is going to be background color selection underscore button. I'm just gonna keep it a blue. Then we need to say select underscore path. So this is going to be self dot. We don't have this function yet. I'm gonna create it in a minute. So this one's going to be select underscore image underscore file underscore path, right? Um okay. And this one needs to be exit underscore manager. So this is going to be self dot, let's just say exit file manager, like this. Then here we need to say preval is equal to true, like this, right? So now let's create the select image file path. Okay, so we'll define and paste this here, right? So this is gonna take in self and path, right? Then underneath our schedule, the appointments here, let's create a variable, right? So let's just call it X-ray image underscore file underscore hot, right? Then this is just going to be a string property like this. So let me copy it. And so we need to say self here dot, then paste this variable. Then it's going to be this is going to be our path, right? Okay, like this. Mm, about then I need to say self dot. So what we need right now is our exit manager, right? So that whenever we select the path, we're gonna call the exit file manager so that it closes itself, right? So we're gonna say exit underscore file underscore manager, and we're gonna pass in self, right? And I need that we need to say define exit underscore file underscore manager, right? So I'm gonna take in self, comma, then let's just put our star args here like this. Then inside here we're just gonna say self dot file manager object dot close. Let's put parentheses here. Mm, let Okay, much better. So now let's go back down, right, and work on this one. So let's get rid of this. Inside here, we're gonna say self dot. So now we need to call our file manager object, right? Then we're gonna say dot show. Then inside here, we're just gonna put our forward slash in quotes, right? Um, with this one, right, if we select the image, right, it's going to be saved in that string property variable we created up on top here, right? So what we need to do here, right, is whenever we information to that variable, right, it's going to trigger an action, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say define, and do I still have it copied? Okay, I still have it. So here I'm gonna say on. So if we disturb this variable, right? So here inside you need to say self, then we're gonna need instance, if I'm not mistaken. Then we're gonna need that variable again, right? So if that variable is disturbed, this is what's gonna happen. So here I'm just gonna say fracture underscore detection. So here I don't have this custom widget yet. I'm just gonna put it in there. Then I'm gonna create it after we finish this function here. So I'm just gonna call it image detection like this. All right. Then I'm gonna say fracture detection. I think it's gonna need the source, right? Our X-ray image file path. So let's just say image underscore source. Then put our variable here. Then I'm gonna say fracture detection dot open like this, right? So we can't import this just yet because we don't have it inside our project, right? So what we need to do, we need to navigate to our widgets folder, and inside there we need to create a new file, and we're just gonna call it images like this, right? So inside this folder, inside this file, man, this is where we're gonna create our custom widget. So what I can do here is let's open pop-ups to Pi, right? Because I'm just going to be using a model view for this. So I'm definitely gonna need some of this information. So just gonna control A, control C, then paste this in here, right? So down here, I'm gonna get rid of this. Then okay, I'm gonna get rid of this. Then let me control D this. Then we call it image detection, right? So I'm just gonna say image detection like this, right? So here, right, I'm not gonna need this MD card. As a matter of fact, let me just remove everything here. So here I'm gonna put an anchor layout like this, right? Then I'm gonna say anchor X. We're gonna anchor this at the center. Then anchor Y at the center also. So inside this anchor layout, right, I'm gonna put a float layout like this. Okay. Then we're gonna give this size int of 4/5, comma 4/5. right? So it's gonna take 4/5 of the screen going upwards and 4/5 of the screen going horizontally, right? And it's going to be positioned at the center, right? So what we need to do, we need to keep this this float layout a canvas dot before, give it a background color. So here we're gonna say canvas dot before, then here we're gonna say color RGBA RGBA. So let's make it white. So this is going to be hashtag then 6Fs. Then here I'm gonna give it a rounded rectangle. But we might not need to give it a rounded rectangle because if we just put an image here, right, it's gonna take up all of the space, right? And it's just gonna cover the whole rounded edges. So they just get rid of the rounded part. They just say rectangle. Then pause is going to be self dot pause. Then size going to be self dot size, like this. All right. So since this is a float layout, we're just gonna have a box layout and a button to close the pop-up, right? So here I'm just gonna say box layout and give it an ID. Let's call it a scanned image. So we just keep it simple. 1 second. Okay, so let's give this a position and okay, so in here let's say center underscore x. So this is going to be at 0.5. Then center y is going to be at 0.5, right? So it's going to be at the center of our float layout. And we give this a background color. Let's not give this a background color because we're just gonna put an image there. Okay. So then let's put a float layout here. Right. So this float layout is going to contain an MD icon button. So let's give this a size intro of none, comma none. Then down here when I say size, and let's give it a size of 40 display pixels horizontally and 40 display pixels vertically, right? And let's give it a position int. So I'm gonna copy this. Right. So let's put this at 0.95 and this one let's put it as 0.95 also, right? And we can give this a background color. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. Then tap this one time, right? So here, right, let's do it like this. So let's get rid of this, right? So here when I say 1 comma 1 comma 1 comma 0 point let's put 3.5 like this, right? So this is going to be 35% like alpha, right? Alpha is going to be at 0.35. So what else do we need here? So now we need to add our MD icon pattern here. So inside the slot layout, we're gonna add our MD icon pattern. like this, right? So when I give it an icon, and the icon is going to be close, then I'm gonna say theme, text, color, and it's going to be custom like this. Then I'm gonna say text underscore color is going to be F F F F F F F, right? Then we need to give this a position and select this, paste it here, tap this one time. So we need to put this at the center of the float layout, right? So this needs to be 0.5 for center X and center Y. Then here we need to say on underscore press like this. Then you need to say root dot you can say dismiss, but then it has a few challenges. But let's just use dismiss so that we don't have to put a lot of code inside the what do you call it, image detect, what do you call it, image detection class right down here. So once we're done here, right, we don't need this callback. So let's get rid of it. Um okay. So we don't have title, we have source, right? We called it image source like this. So now we just need to put lines here um to detect our fractures, right? So what we need to do here, we need to say define on open. So this is what's gonna happen when we open the model view, right? So what we need to do here, we're gonna say this needs to be lowercase clock dot schedule once, right? So here we're just gonna say let's call it self dot display image, comma. So usually I put one here, right? But I just want it to be loaded as soon as possible. So let me try 0.5 here. So it's gonna take half a second, then it's gonna run that function, right? So let me import this kivy.clock. Okay. So now let's create the display image, right? So the display image function. So define display underscore image. Then let's put star of here, right? So we're gonna say if not self dot image underscore source, right? So what I'm trying to do here, right? Let's say we select an image, right? Then we display it, then we close it. So if we try to select another one, we might have an error where the the image source is gonna be, it's not gonna be recognized as an image source, right? So here I'm just gonna say if not, right? We're just gonna say print no image source provided. Or it might just be maybe we selected a video, right? So now then we're just gonna say return here, right? Then underneath this if statement, we're gonna say img. So Here, right, this is where we're gonna read our image with OpenCV, then store it inside this image, right? So you're gonna say img is equal to cv2. So this should import it. Okay, so let's import it. Okay, cv2 dot I'm read. So what are we reading? Self dot image source, like this, right? So here we're gonna say if img is none, like this, right? Um, so for now I'm just using print, right? But then after we've done with this, right, we can replace this with the what do you call it? Warning pop-up. Yeah. So we're gonna replace it with the warning pop-up. For now, let's just use print. And if we don't get any errors, then we're gonna use the warning pop-up. So inside this, just gonna say failed to load image, like this. So let's put a semicolon, some space, curly braces, and inside here let's just use self dot image underscore source. So let's put an F here. So make this an F string. Okay, like this. Now let's scroll upwards. Okay. So down here, right, we need to make this grayscale. So we're just gonna say gray underscore ing, and this is going to be cv2 cvt color. Then here we're gonna pass img, then cv2 dot color. Yeah, with bgr2, we need gray here, like this. Okay, then we need to say cascade right here. Then we're gonna say cv2 dot cascade classifier. So let's put parentheses here, open quotes. um let's navigate to data, right? So assets folder, not data. So we should have a custom cascade here, right? So what I did was I just used like 30 images to try and train the cascade classifier, right? So to make this perform more efficiently, I would have to do something with a lot of images, like 30 images, right? But for the sake of this video tutorial, I just created something with 12 to it was it 12, I think between 20 and 12 images, right? So this thing is not going to be like super what do you call it, super correct at detecting everything, right? So for now, I'm just gonna pause this, then drop the cascade classifier inside our assets folder. Then I'm gonna continue. Right. But for now, inside here, so since this is going to be inside our assets folder, I'm just gonna say assets forward slash. So I'm just gonna call it my like this because I didn't have a better name to put it. So I'm just gonna use my like this. So Control S. So now let me pause the video. Then add the cascade classifier inside the assets folder. Then we're gonna proceed. Okay. So now we have added our cascade classifier to our assets folder. Right. So you're gonna find this cascade classifier inside the link in the description. Right. The GitHub link in the description is gonna have this cascade classifier. Right? So after doing this, right, I'm going to create another variable A, and I'm going to call it detections, right? So inside here, I'm just going to pass in our cascade. Then when I say cascade dot detect multi-scale, excuse me, gray image, Then I'm gonna say 1, 1, then 5. Then our mean size, we're gonna set it to, so let's put parentheses here. Then we're gonna say 30, comma 30 like this, right? Then after doing this, we need to add a for loop, right? So this is what we're gonna use, right, to draw if we detect a fracture, right? That's when this is what we're gonna use to display the rectangle on around the structure, right? So here I'm just gonna say x, comma y, comma w, comma h, right? Then in detections, right? So if we detect the fracture, right? So I'm not gonna go into explaining how this works, right? If you wanna know how this works, right, we're just gonna have to do a separate video that's just focused on OpenCV, right? Because after do this, we're gonna try and do something else crazy with OpenCV. Okay, so let's proceed for now. So here we're gonna say CV2 dot rectangle, right? Then inside there we're gonna pass in our image, right? So we're going to detect this using the grayscale image, but then we're just going to draw the rectangle on the image, the one without any grayscale or anything, right? So you're going to say image, comma, right, add the comma. Then inside you're going to say x, comma, y. Then we're going to say x plus, this should be w, like this. Then comma, we're going to do the same for y. So y plus w. This should be h. Well, after doing this, I'm just gonna take a quick rest because starting to make a lot of mistakes, man. Then here we need to say 0, comma 255, comma 0. So this should be green, right? Then here you need to say comma 2, or you can say comma 1 if you don't want this will this number is like the thickness of our line, right? So let's put 2. If it's too big, then we're going to reduce it to 1. But if on your end, if it's too small, you can just increase the number of this, right? If you want the rectangle to be a lot thicker, right? So now let's exit our for loop, right? So now what we're gonna do now is use texture, right? Because what we want to do now is we want to be able to display this image and draw a rectangle and whatnot on top of Kivy, right? So now we're gonna combine Kivy and OpenCV now, right? So now I'm gonna say texture is equal to texture dot create. Then inside we're gonna put parentheses. Then inside parentheses we're gonna say size is equal. Then you're gonna put parentheses in here. Then we're gonna say img dot shape square brackets index 1. So let's put a comma. Then we're gonna say img dot shape. Then we're gonna put curly braces, then 0 inside, comma, then color format. And we're gonna say it's equal to BGR, like this. So this should be here, like this, right? Then I'm going to say texture dot bleed buffer. like this. Then when I say img dot flatten, so after I'm done with this whole thing, I'm just gonna go over it, then explain it a little bit better, right? So just hold for a minute, like this. Okay, this needs to be bgr also, corner, buffer format. So this needs to be ubyte, like this. Okay, then here when I say texture dot flip vertical, because this is going to be flipped upside down, right? So here we need to say flip vertical, then we're gonna put parentheses here, right? So let's try and import this. Okay, so now we need to create an image widget, right? So here when I say img underscore widget, so this should be like a Kivy image, right? So when I say image parentheses, then inside there when I say texture is equal to texture. Then we need to say size underscore int is equal to, let's put parentheses and say 1, 1. Then we need to say fit mode. And we're gonna set this to fill, like this. So the image is going to be stretched out and fill out the whole space taken out by the box layout, right? So now we need to say self dot IDS dot. So what did we call our box layout? The ID we gave it. Okay, scanned image. So let's paste it here. Then we just need to say clear widgets, right? So let's say we already have a widget on our in our box layout, right? So we need to make sure that we clear it before we add another widget. So even if it's empty, we're just gonna clear everything in there, right? So let's just say clear widgets, like this. We need to import this image. Kivy. Yeah, we need this one, kivy.ux.image, import image. Okay. Then we need to say layout, right? So our layout is just going to be a box layout. We might not need to create this layout, right? We might as well just add the image widget directly to the box layout inside our KV file, right? Our KV code. So let me just get rid of this and just say self dot IDS dot scanned underscore image dot add underscore widget, and the widget we're gonna add is img widget, like this, right? So this should run, right? So before we test this, right, we're just gonna go through this function real quick and explain what I was doing, like what we're gonna do here with this function, right? So the first part, right, this part here, right? So this defines a method, right? What we're gonna do here is we're gonna check. Okay, so here, right, this checks the image source if it's empty or not set, right? So if there's no image in the file path, right, it prints a message and stop running the rest of the function, right? Then this here, right, so this uses OpenCV to read the image from the file path provided in self.image source. So it loads the image into the variable called img, right? So this here, excuse me. So if the image couldn't be loaded, or maybe the file doesn't exist, or the file path is wrong, right? This is going to print an error message, right? So these print functions here, we're gonna replace them in a minute. Don't worry about those, right? So this line here, right? So this converts the image from color, which is BGR format, then it converts it to grayscale, more like black and white. So many image processing algorithms like face detection, like in our case, fracture detection, right, work better if the image is grayscale, right? So this here, right, this cascade variable, right? So this loads our cascade classifier from the file, right? So our file is my hard.xml, right? So a cascade classifier is a type of trained model used to detect things in images, right? So in our case, we're gonna be detecting fractures in our images, but other cascades can detect faces, cars, bodies, pets, hands, or you can actually do a lot of things with this one, right? Then we have this one, detections, right? So this line here, it runs the detection on the grayscale image. It looks for images like fractures in our case, and returns a list of rectangles where each object was found. So this is just like the object detection part here, right? So this 1 comma 1, right? So this is the scale factor. So this is how much the image is reduced in each scale, right? Then we have 5 here, right? So this is the number of neighbors. So a higher number means fewer false positives, right? Then here we have mean size, right? So this means that we're telling it to ignore objects smaller than 30 by 30 pixels in our case here, right? Then we have this for loop here, right? So this loops through each detected object, right? And it draws, like in our case, it's gonna draw a green rectangle around the original image, right? So this here is the green image, and this here is the thickness of the rectangle that we're gonna draw, right? Then we have this line here, right? So this creates a new Kivy texture. So this is like an object used to display images, right? So it sets the size to the width and height of the image and uses BGR as the color format to match OpenCV's format, right? Then we have the next slide here. So this copies the image into the texture. So img.flatten converts the images to 1D array, right? One dimensional array, which Kivy uses to draw the image, right? Then we have texture.flip vertical here, right? So this flips the image vertically, right? Kivy and OpenCV use different coordinate systems for images, right? So one starts from top left and the other starts from bottom left. So we need to flip it to display it correctly, right? Then we have this here, right? So this creates a new Kivy image widget that displays the texture. The image fills the space of its parent widget, size int like 1 comma 1, fit mode fill, makes it stretch to fit the whole image, right? Then we have this one, and then so this removes any existing widget from the container widget, which we're gonna put our img widget, right? And this one, right? So this is the new image widget onto our box layout so that we can be able to view it, right? So here, right, we need to run this and see if we didn't make any mistakes or anything, right? So let's just run it. So let's open our consultation, right? So this works. We're done with this part. So we need to click this one. Um, so we need the drive D. Okay. Let me just select this one. Okay, so we have an error here. We must have messed up something. Image detection is not defined, so we need to import this. import. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, consultation, fracture detection, images. So let's select this one. Okay, so we're detecting this here, right? So since we didn't have much information to train our cascade, right? So you can see we are not detecting this part, this one, and this one, right? But we're actually detecting something, which is a good thing, right? So let me close this. Let me try detecting another image. Okay, so we're detecting this one and we're not detecting this one. Okay. So this is working just fine, right? So with more images to use and train this thing, right, we can get something which works a lot better. But for this video tutorial, we're just gonna work with this one, right? Then if you wanna know how to train your own cascade, right? You can just let me know in the comments. Then I'll dedicate one video and show you how to you can train your own to do whatever you want. You want it to detect faces, dogs, or whatever you want to do with it. I'll show you that video, right? So let me close this. So now that we're done with scheduled appointments, the consultation part, and fracture detection, right? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna work on we do appointments or patients. Uh, let's start with patients, right? So let me minimize this. Then open our terminal, right? So okay, we were already inside views folder, right? Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say Python create underscore screen.py. Then I'm gonna call this one patients like this. So let's run it. Okay, so we have patients inside here, right? So let me close our terminal. Let me reduce the size here. So let me leave it like this. Let's navigate to our app folder and open any.py, right? So I'm gonna copy this and paste it here, right? So I'm gonna control D this, then this is going to be patients, and this one is going to be patients also, right? Then let me navigate to home.kv. Then we need to change where do we have patients. Let's get rid of this button. Then change this screen to patients like this, right? So let's run it and see if everything's working out just fine, right? Okay, so here with our patients, right? Okay, so this is working just fine. So let's minimize this. Then let's get rid of consultations. Um, get rid of home. And I think we're gonna need excuse me. Let's open dashboard.kv and dashboard.py. Gonna need these ones, right? Okay. So let me scroll downwards. So we're definitely I'm just gonna control A, control C this, then open patients.kv, then I'm gonna paste everything in there. Okay. So um I'm gonna get rid of this here. Okay. So we're gonna need our info cards, right? But then we're not gonna need this middle part, right? So I'm gonna get rid of it. Um, let's get rid of this size in here, okay? And we need to tab this shift tab it once, okay? So let's try running this. Um, okay, I think I know what issue we have here, right? So it's because of these info parts here, right? Okay. So let's open dashboard.py and okay, control C. Then we need patience.py, right? So I'm gonna paste this here. Import this. We need to import this also. Okay. Let's import clock from Kivy.clock here. Let's run it again. What seems to be the problem now? Patience is no attribute beds. Okay. Dashboard. Ooh, we need these ones, so I'm just gonna copy this. Patience.py, paste it here. So we need to import these ones. Okay. So let's run it again. Right. I hope this time everything's working just fine, right? So let's open patience. Ish. Okay. So we're gonna need few cards. So let's get rid of this card. We're not gonna need refresh appointments. Do we need refresh? We don't need this one. Okay. So this should work now, right? Okay. Okay, fine. So what I'm gonna do, right? I'm not gonna end the video here, right? But I'm just gonna take a small break, right? Walk around, stretch my legs, and just get my eyes off screens for a minute, right? Then we're gonna proceed. This video is still going. I'm just gonna pause it, right?